For the first time ever, we have a Manchester derby in the FA Cup final. Manchester City are going for their treble, whereas Manchester United are looking to thwart their noisy neighbours. But what will happen during the game? Today, we're going to be answering that very question as we head to the tactics board to preview and break down the match in its entirety. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, it really would mean a lot to me, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss anything coming up. But now, let's discuss Manchester City versus Manchester United in the FA Cup final. Here we have both sides, Manchester City on the left and Manchester United obviously on the right. We're going to be going through the teams first and then talking about them tactically. We have Ederson in goal for Manchester City, Kyle Walker, John Stones, Diaz and Ake make up the back four. Rodri is the central defensive midfielder, whereas Ilkay Gundogan and Kevin De Bruyne are the two central attacking midfielders. Erling Haaland is up front, and on his left is Jack Grealish, on his right is Bernardo Silva. That is your Manchester City side. As for Manchester United, we have David De Gea in goal. Varane is partnering Lindelof, Shaw is out on this left-hand side, whereas Dalot is out on this right. Casemiro is the main central defensive midfielder, and Bruno Fernandes and Fred are the main two central attacking midfielders just ahead of him. Antony is possibly going to be coming back from injury, and Jadon Sancho is out on this left-hand side, leaving the one and only Marcus Rashford to be going forwards for the team in red. How is the game going to break down? Well, we know that Manchester City are going to have a lot of the ball. They're going to be dominating possession, really pushing back this Manchester United team. But in doing that and in gaining possession, they have John Stones coming into midfield. This means that Rodri will then move across. It allows Walker to tuck inside. Diaz and Ake then make up this mainstay back three. Going forwards, we have Rodri and Stones as these two double pivot positions, allowing Gundogan to go forwards as well as Kevin De Bruyne. Bernardo Silva is going to be hugging this touchline, and Jack Grealish is going to be doing the same on this other side, creating width and dragging out this Manchester United defence, who are going to be sitting back very, very deep. Varane, Dalot and Shaw next to Lindelof are going to be making sure that they're compact and difficult to break down. Casemiro is going to move across. Fred is going to be playing in this central defensive midfield role when Manchester United do not have the ball. Bruno Fernandes will come in front as a central attacking midfielder. Sancho will tuck in as well as Antony, and Manchester United will try to make themselves as compact as possible. This will obviously be going into Manchester City's hands, however. It's going to play into Manchester City's hands because of the way that they like to hold the ball and the way they like to pressurise through their gaining momentum in possession. When Silva is out here on this right-hand side and when Grealish is out here on this left-hand side, they're able to just rotate the ball around as many times as they want through the two midfield pivots of Rodri and Stones. This gives them an added extra emphasis of control, and it means that the players like Rashford, like Fernandes, like Sancho and Antony have so much running to do if they ever want to try and gain some form of transition. With the extra midfielder in John Stones, it just means that it makes Manchester United's life that much more difficult. He's also very comfortable at playing these direct passes into Kevin De Bruyne or even Erling Haaland if they can find some space. But naturally, they'll be trying to go out to the wings. This is going to be able to drag out some of those Manchester United players and break that setup of defensive stability that they will have brought up in the first part of the game. And when they do break it, it's going to look something like this. Now, when this happens, this is a cluster of Manchester United players who have been dragged over to this right-hand side, their right-hand side and Manchester City's left, and this is down to Man City just continuously rotating the ball around, rotating movement, making sure that they don't give Manchester United any kind of let-up, and eventually what you're going to see is this. This cluster of players is going to be a natural thing to happen when the game is at its either end in the first half or even towards the end of the second half. Once Manchester United break their rhythm and break their real solidity, you're going to see Manchester City do things very, very differently. Rodri is going to go through Stones, particularly on this right-hand side. He's going to play in through De Bruyne. He could play a 1-2 to Silva, he could play a 1-2 to Haaland, but look at this space that is now available for Manchester City to use. It's through this rotation and it's through the ability that Man City have on the ball and their real movement off the ball that really causes Manchester United so many problems. They can't get to it because of the pressure in possession that we've talked about with John Stones. He's such a key integral part of this. It makes Rodri's life so much easier. It also means that Gundogan and De Bruyne have essentially two free roles, and as we can see, it creates something of a box formation. This makes both Bruno Fernandes and Fred's job a living nightmare. It means that Casemiro has so many more things to worry about, and all in all, it just becomes far too much for these Manchester United midfielders to handle. But Manchester United are going to need to have something in this game, so what could they do? Well, they are going to need to try and make sure that they can capitalise on the transition, and that means focusing on Bruno Fernandes, it means focusing on Fred and Casemiro. This midfield three is going to need to do so much running to try and recover the ball, and then if they ever do recover it through any kind of tackle, any kind of loss of possession for Manchester City, Manchester United need to capitalise. They're going to capitalise through two players. That is Antony and that is Sancho. Pushing down this wing with Marcus Rashford, they're going to be looking for a 3-on-3, especially with these three Manchester City centre-backs. It's going to be tough, it's going to be difficult because of how good these players are at one-on-ones. It's another reason why this Pep Guardiola system that he's created with this City side is so dangerous. Ake is strong, Diaz is strong, and so is Walker. Walker is incredibly fast. Diaz can drop back if he ever needs a little bit of help in pace, and Ake is very physical when it comes to beating the pace of Antony. And when Manchester United do try to counter, it's going to look something like this. Now, this is a quick snapshot of what a transition could look like. Ake is obviously being isolated by Antony. Sancho is over with Walker and Diaz is with Rashford. This is the main opportunity that Manchester United have to be able to go forwards. Rashford wants to be isolated with Diaz. Although he's very, very good defensively, he doesn't have the pace to be able to deal with Marcus Rashford, which means that Bruno Fernandes is going to be absolutely key. It's Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro who are going to be looking to play those passes over the back of the Manchester City backline into this pocket of space here. This space right here that Marcus Rashford is going to try and make his most of. It's going to be all about how Ederson tries to read this game. He's going to be essentially crucial to stopping Rashford from trying to get to the ball. Antony is going to be up against the likes of Ake. It's all going to be about driving. It's all going to be about winning their duels. If Manchester United do not win their duels, it's going to be a very, very easy game for Manchester City. This is the only way that I foresee them actually having any kind of impact on the game because of the dominance that Manchester City hold throughout the match. But if we were to reset and actually have a look at who might be able to impact this game the most, I think it'd be very easy from a Manchester City point of view to say that Erling Haaland will have the most influence. I think he will look at the likes of Rafa Varane and Victor Lindelof and think that he can get the beating of them. He's gotten the beating of most Premier League centre-backs. But it's really Bernardo Silva for me out on this right-hand side. I think he's got a massive opportunity up against the likes of Luke Shaw and Jadon Sancho to be able to both beat them tactically, but also I think he's got it in him to really dance past them. I think he's got a very good interplay with Kevin De Bruyne, and moving into these pockets is where you're going to see him do most of his magic, drifting into midfield and then making those late darting runs like De Bruyne does to the byline to really help Erling Haaland in the Manchester United box. But from a Manchester United point of view, what are we looking at? Well, you might notice that I've had Fred in this lineup, and I think it's quite a big call because I think Erik ten Hag is going to look at this defensively and realise that his team isn't good enough or isn't equipped enough to be able to deal with this Manchester City team without changing some tactical tweaks to the way that he would like to play. And I think Fred is going to be having a man-marking role to Kevin De Bruyne. We already know that Erik ten Hag likes to ask his defensive players to really do some kind of one-on-one marking. It's very Leeds-esque. It's one player is yours and you need to make sure you win your duel. And for this instance, I think Fred is going to be on Kevin De Bruyne. If he can keep De Bruyne quiet, it gives Manchester United obviously a much bigger chance of being able to get something out of this match. The problem is, Fred against Kevin De Bruyne isn't exactly the best matchup that you would hope for. And finally, how do I see the game playing out? Well, I think it's no surprise to think that Manchester City are on an absolute roll. Yes, they've been celebrating their Premier League title, perhaps a little bit too much, but when Pep Guardiola needs his side to get down to business, I don't think you can really look past them. I can see them scoring at least 2 goals, and on that instance, I don't really see Manchester United scoring all too much. As we have discussed, the physicality of Nathan Ake, Ruben Diaz and Kyle Walker is something that I think is going to be a bit too much for this Manchester United side, and for that reason I don't think they get a single goal. This means that the score I'm predicting for is Manchester City 2, Manchester United 0. and that treble charge continues. Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave the video with a like and click that subscribe button so that you don't miss what's coming up in the future. If you would like to support the channel a little bit more, you can do. You can press that join button and become a channel member. In doing so, you get yourself a whole host of perks, including member badges and exclusive member videos. If that's something you're interested in, press that join button, follow the instructions, and become a club member. And as always, all of your support is very much appreciated. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as well on how you see the game playing out. Is it Man City's or is it Manchester United's? Who is coming out on top and which side of Manchester will be lifting the FA Cup? Let me know your thoughts. I would love to hear from you. That is it for me for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.